Is OTR-FM, part of the ION Radio Network.
IPMNation.com.
So apparently Hoosiers really enjoy a good conspiracy theory. Trump accuses Ted Cruz's father of helping to kill JFK, and then Trump goes on to win the Indiana primary. Yep. It's Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016, just after 11 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone. Matt Connarton Unleashed begins right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Everybody, welcome. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We are live on this Tuesday evening on OTR FM, as we are Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and 5 nights a week. You can hear us at 11 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 2, one of our 3 live channels on the IPM Nation live station, which is, of course, streaming 24/7 from the Uptown Auto Repair Studio in Manchester, New Hampshire. Powered by Ambit Energy. If you want to learn to save more on your energy bills, go to ipmnation.ambitrabbit.com. And, of course, we are very proud to be sponsored by the Mortgage Specialists. And if you're buying a home, you don't have to go it alone. Contact the Mortgage Specialists today. You can go to themortgagespecialists.com, and you'll be very glad that you did. We do have a phone line open for you if anyone would like to enter the conversation tonight. 617-917-4IPM. That's IPM as an IPM Nation. 617-917-4476. You can call us. You can text us. You can also enter the chat room at ipmnation.com/live2. You can tweet me anytime at Matt Connarton. And, of course, you can post on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. Quick programming note. Tomorrow night on the show, and actually, I'm going to double-check his name. He's got one of those long last names. I want to make sure I get his last name right. So bear with me. I do have tomorrow on the television edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed, Sean Michelonis. Sean Michelonis is his name. He will be joining me. He is running for the Executive Council here in New Hampshire. And if you don't know what the Executive Council is, well, you'll just have to tune in tomorrow. But so he is a candidate for office. And Sean is going to be with me tomorrow on the television edition of Unleashed, which begins at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can watch that on IPM Nation TV. And, of course, we do get that up and available for you on YouTube, typically by about 9 p.m. So if you can't watch it live during the day, there's also an 11 p.m. replay. And also, too, I should mention, and I often neglect to mention this, but because our number one market on IPM Nation is Manchester, New Hampshire, you can also watch the show on cable in Manchester on Channel 23. So if you'd rather watch it that way. But we like to bring people to the website, our awesome website, ipmnation.com. So, yeah, you can watch it there. And let's see. So Sean will be on with me tomorrow. By the way, it's funny. Someone has already picked a fight with him on Facebook when I posted earlier, and I tagged him in it and shared it out that he was going to be coming on the show. Sean was going to be coming on the show tomorrow. Janet Del Fuco, who was on the show just a couple of weeks ago, was kind of picking on him because I think somewhere in his Facebook profile it says he's from Boston, but he's running for the New Hampshire Executive Council. Now, I believe he actually lives in Rochester. And that's how Slicko knows him, because the way that I met Sean online, I haven't met him in person yet, but Sean is apparently an acquaintance of Slicko, host of Slicko's World, which you can now hear Sunday nights, a brand new season, Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 2. But apparently they are friends, so Slicko referred Sean to me so that I could do an interview with Sean for his candidacy. He's a former New Hampshire state legislator. He served in the legislature as a legislator, and is now running for the executive council here in New Hampshire. So, but we're going to talk about a lot of issues, and for those of you who are not in New Hampshire, of course, because I know with this program we have listeners across North America. We'll be, I'm sure, talking about some issues that affect everybody. The heroin epidemic. I know that's one of the things that Sean really wants to talk about. And while it seems to be especially bad here, it's bad everywhere right now. So, well, speaking of bad everywhere, Donald Trump won the Indiana primary tonight. Although it's not all bad news. Bernie Sanders also winning the Indiana primary. Let's get that part out of the way because there's plenty to talk about with Trump. But we'll talk about Bernie's victory for a minute. So. And for those who are new to the show, I know we're constantly picking up new listeners. So let me explain something. And I know this is hard for some people to grasp because people are used to thinking in these very sort of binary partisan terms. I can like a particular candidate. I can like them. I can like the person without necessarily supporting them for office. Yes, it is possible. So when I say I like Bernie Sanders and I enjoy seeing him succeed, doesn't mean I support him. And again, some people have difficulty with this concept, but I like Bernie Sanders very much. And I do enjoy seeing him succeed. And there are several reasons I like him. I would never vote for him. He's a socialist, and I'm not a socialist. I believe in less government, not more. I don't believe that government is the solution to everything, and I don't believe government should... I don't think it's up to government to make sure everyone has free college and a $15 an hour minimum wage and all this other stuff. This is stuff that's quote unquote free. But there are things about Bernie that I like, and I particularly enjoy watching him make Hillary sweat it out. Now, there is no way Bernie Sanders is going to be the nominee. Hillary is... way ahead in the delegate count, even though he's won quite a few primaries and caucuses. Bernie Sanders has done very well. But the Democrats have these super delegates that will, go for Hillary at the convention and whatnot. Hillary Clinton will definitely be the Democratic nominee. But I do enjoy, watching Bernie make her work for it. I think it's great. So I was glad to see him win Indiana tonight, and he needed a little bit of a boost to his candidacy. Mathematically, there's just no way he's going to get there. But the only hope Bernie has is if some sort of major scandal happens to Hillary Clinton very, very soon, or maybe if there's an FBI indictment, maybe that's what Bernie's holding out for. Some people think that could actually happen. I'm skeptical, but it would be awfully interesting, wouldn't it? So there's that. But then for the Republicans, Donald Trump won. And immediately upon him winning the Indiana primary, it's like there's been this whole giant paradigm shift. Everybody's now talking about Donald Trump as the presumptive nominee. Now, he did cross a psychological barrier in terms of the math. He now has more than 1,000 delegates. Now, he has to get to 1,237 to clinch the nomination officially. But crossing that barrier of 1,000, that gives him a new sort of sheen and an aura of inevitability. And the paradigm shift that has taken place that I noticed in the media immediately is that now it's no longer, to my chagrin, because I was looking forward to this, it's no longer a discussion about a contested convention. It's now more a discussion of, even if Trump doesn't get to 1237, you can't possibly deny him the nomination at this point. Him crossing that threshold of 1,000 delegates, again, had a major psychological impact in that, even Reince Priebus came out and said, Trump is our nominee. Reince Priebus, the head of the Republican National Committee. So maybe we're not going to see a contested convention after all. Even if he doesn't get to 1237, if the delegates in the macro feel that he should be the nominee with all these millions of people that have voted for him, and the hell to pay that there will be if he is denied that, may steer them to, on the first ballot, just even if he doesn't get to 1237, they got to, if they can seal the deal on the first ballot. If it goes to a second ballot, that's where it gets interesting. But it's sounding like everybody's kind of shrugging and going, nah, that probably won't happen. Trump is the nominee. So we may yet be denied my dream of a contested convention. I was so looking forward to it. It could yet happen, but it's beginning to look less likely. So we got to take a short break. We'll only be gone for a couple minutes, but stay with us. More Unleashed coming up. I gotta get into this Trump's accusation about Ted Cruz's dad. Wow, it's just incredible stuff. We'll be right back.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Everybody, welcome back. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live on OTR FM, the premium channel on the OMTimes Radio Network, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and 5 nights a week at 11 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 2 on the IPM Nation live station. Let's see. Yeah, like I said, the conversation has shifted around Trump. This is what HuffPost put up. Donald Trump just won Indiana and the Republican nomination. Here's how he did it. So again, even though he still doesn't have 1237, everyone's kind of talking like he's the nominee now. It says here, Donald Trump, the real estate magnate and reality television star, who has said Mexican immigrants are rapists and has called for banning all Muslims from the U.S. That's technically not fair. He banned them from entering the U.S. He didn't say ban the ones who are here. That's HuffPost. HuffPost does have a liberal slant, and they clearly have a bias against Trump. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with Trump on banning Muslims from entering the U.S. I think it's un-American and creepy. But it's not exactly fair to say he said ban Muslims from the U.S. Anyway, let's see. He won the Republican primary in the pivotal state of Indiana on Tuesday night. By the way, a comment here. Indiana is not usually a pivotal state in terms of presidential primaries. Some states have benefited greatly from this process this time around, because states like Indiana and, what was it? A couple weeks ago, we had the New York primary. Typically, the nomination is already pretty much decided by the time you get to these states. Like the New York primary tends to be irrelevant. By the time you get to New York, you already know who the nominees are going to be on both sides, and certainly long before you get to Indiana. So Indiana would not normally be pivotal. I say that with apologies to my Midwestern listeners, but let's see. So he won the Republican Party in Indiana on Tuesday night. Senator Ted Cruz, his most serious remaining challenger, dropped out. Trump is now the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. The Republican presidential primary is a race for delegates, not votes, and for months, Trump's opponents had held out hope that they would win enough delegates to deny him a majority on the first ballot of the July convention. Now, after last week's stronger-than-expected showing in Pennsylvania, Trump looked likely to wrap up the nomination earlier than his foes had feared. His Indiana win comes on a day dominated by Trump's charge that his GOP rival's father was involved in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Seriously, that happened. We'll come back to that. Trump didn't need Indiana to keep him on track for an outright victory, but his win on Tuesday made the ultimate outcome all but certain. Trump had nearly 1,000 delegates going into Tuesday. With his strong showing in Indiana, he should win the vast majority of the state's 57 delegates and draw within 200 delegates of the 1,237 he needs to secure the nomination. By the way, I didn't quite realize the math. I undersold it, actually, when I said crossing 1,000 was, a sort of a psychological victory. Even more so is that he crossed 1,000 by enough, by winning most of that 57 delegates to put him only 200 shy of 1,237. And that's where the real victory is. I mean, I'm sure he can win those 200 delegates with the remaining primaries, which are going to be, hell, he doesn't even have to campaign at this point to win the rest of them, right? There's nobody else to vote for. Although Kasich is technically, John Kasich actually hasn't dropped out yet. I think he's still holding out for a contested convention. John Kasich, the most the most electable, most phenomenal general election candidate you Republicans could possibly ask for. The guy that none of you are interested in voting for or supporting, who has no delegates. The guy who could beat Hillary Clinton in the general election. Yeah, him. Anyway. Trump didn't need Indiana to keep him on track for an outright victory, but his win on Tuesday made the ultimate outcome all but certain. Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. I'm just all wrapped up in Trumpomania running wild here. Let's see. In California and New Jersey, the largest remaining states, polling shows Trump ahead by more than 20 points. If those numbers hold, now see, this is why it's in the bag, because, again, there's no one else to run against. If those numbers hold, which they almost certainly will, given that Cruz has dropped out, he'll win all of New Jersey's 51 delegates and the vast majority of California's 172. 172, California being the largest state in the country. So he's good. He's all set. The delegate math and Cruz's decision confirmed what most Republican voters have already accepted. Trump now has the support of more than half of the Republicans nationwide, according to HuffPost pollsters' average, with twice the backing of Senator Ted Cruz. And even before Indiana voted, 91% believed Trump would win the nomination, according to CNN ORC survey. PredictWise, which forecasts political events based on political betting markets, gave Trump an 88% chance of winning a majority of delegates as of Tuesday morning, up 28 points since this time last month. As Trump moved closer to the nomination, Republicans have warmed to the idea of having him as their standard bearer. Well, they better. Republicans' opinions of Trump, while still notably mixed, have ticked upward in the past month, according to polling from Gallup. Views of Cruz, meanwhile, have plummeted for the first time into negative territory. Just a few months ago, whoops, I scrolled too far there, sorry. Just a few months ago, Trump's nomination seemed impossible to just about everyone. Surely many pundits and some GOP candidates argued there was a ceiling to his support. The Republican establishment would coalesce around a single anti-Trump candidate instead. But no such alternative emerged. There's plenty more to this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but it is up on HuffPost. I suspect some of this is driven by a concern among Republicans that if you deprive Trump or you create an opportunity where he may be deprived at the convention of the nomination, with so many people who have voted for him and whatnot, that you virtually hand the election to Hillary, because millions of Trump supporters will feel disenfranchised if the nomination is taken away from him. Now, obviously, most of these people are wildly enthusiastic about the guy. You know, the more outrageous he gets, the more ridiculous he gets, now to the point of he accused Rafael Cruz, Ted Cruz's father, of being in on the conspiracy to kill JFK. No, that's not from some comedy skit. That he really said that. Actually, something similar may have been said on one of the other programs we carry on IPM Nation, for all I know. But he did make that claim. You know, the crazier he gets, the more a lot of Republicans like him. Because he's going to make America great again. He's not going to tell you how. He's just going to do it because he's Trump. You know, but he's insulting and disrespectful to his political opponents, and a lot of Republicans like that kind of stuff. They like the tough talk. So that's where we are. Now, I would have thought by now that he would have begun to, because there's been points where he appeared to be beginning to pivot to a general election posture, which is where maybe he would finally settle down a little bit and be a little bit less insulting and a little bit less incendiary and try to, you know, actually win the general election. And then every time I think that maybe he started to make that pivot, he says something crazy like the Rafael Cruz thing. But now that the media has essentially stopped completely talking about a contested convention, and it appears that he, in fact, will make it to 1237 easily. You know, it'll be interesting to see if now he makes that pivot. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's having too much fun. Maybe he really did make a secret deal with the Clintons. I don't know. But I have not seen any poll that shows him winning. Every poll I've seen lately shows Hillary defeating him, and I've seen polls showing Bernie defeating him by even a wider margin. So it's going to be interesting to see if he begins to make some sort of change in his strategy and his tone and his tenor. But I never believed that Ted Cruz could overcome Trump in Indiana. It was interesting, by the way, that deal that Cruz made with Kasich, where, like Cruz agreed not to campaign in Ohio and Kasich agreed not to campaign in Indiana and whatnot. And then within hours, they had both, within hours of this becoming news, they both just kind of blew it off and were like, no, there's no deal. And sure enough, they went back to just business as usual. But John Kasich is still not conceded. Maybe Trump will pick John Kasich to be his nominee. I don't know. I'll tell you, this is quite the wild election. By the way, if you want to see something particularly interesting, maybe this hurt Ted Cruz. There is video. You can easily find it on YouTube of Carly Fiorina was at a campaign event. Well, they were all at a campaign event. Ted, Heidi, his wife, and Carly Fiorina. Fiorina falls off the stage, and Ted Cruz just continues shaking hands and ignores it. And Heidi Cruz had to help her up, which that says something to me about Ted Cruz that's not particularly pleasant. I mean, he doesn't even stop. He's like, I don't know. It's quite the cast of characters. All right, we got to take another break. We're only halfway done. Plenty more to come. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live. Don't go away.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live on this very big night. Trump winning the Indiana primary, virtually assuring himself the Republican nomination. And before we went to break, I was talking about the video of that you can see online of Carly Fiorina at a campaign event falling off the stage, and Heidi had to be the one to help her up because Cruz just went along shaking hands with people, like just couldn't be bothered. boy, he's focused. Well, I'll give him that. So then I didn't see this until just now. I see this during the break. Maybe, I don't know if the guy's just careless and just in his own world and just doesn't notice. I don't know. Maybe deep down he has some kind of issues with women. I don't know. But then I see this, this on HuffPost. It says, Ted Cruz accident. and there's pictures. Ted Cruz accidentally punches and elbows his wife in the face after dropping out. This was at the end of his speech. It says here, Senator Ted Cruz dropped out of the race for the Republican presidential nomination on Tuesday night. Donald Trump is the presumptive GOP nominee, but Cruz added injury to insult after his concession speech. He accidentally punched and elbowed his wife, Heidi Cruz, in the face after he finished speaking. Jeez. Oh, there's actually a video here. You guys can't see it, but I'm going to be selfish for a moment and just watch this. Oh God. I got to watch that again. Poor girl. I've met Heidi Cruz. She was a few months ago. Well, yeah, it was before the New Hampshire primary. So this was some time ago, but she was a guest on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, another show that I do. Ted was off. Ted was too big to come on the show apparently, but he did send Heidi, and she seemed nice and whatnot. And God, this is like out of a Three Stooges movie. What I'm looking at here, I'm going to watch this again. Oh God, it's just one right after another, like the fist and then the elbow, and she's got. Oh, she. It looks like it was genuinely painful. Like, wow, what a klutz. Oh my God. I don't know. So I've just never seen anything like that. By the way, I hope nobody gets the wrong idea about me. I don't think violence. I'm not trying to make light of a woman being hurt or anything. I'm certainly not one to make light of violence against women or anything like that. And in fact, I think any man who intentionally hits a woman is just lower than shit. But this was clearly an accident. But accidental violence it's funny just because it's like, wow. It's like, jeez. Anyway, let's see. Oh, here's the article. I wanted to look at this a little closer. Trump accuses Cruz's father of helping JFK's assassination. There's a reason why I find this particularly interesting that he would say something like this. The Clintons, Jen sent me a text. Imagine him meeting dignitaries. Yes. Accidentally punching and elbowing. Well, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to accidentally punch Putin in the face. Putin looks like he's ready to get into the octagon. But I wonder what Trump will say in the general election about the Clintons, because, obviously conspiracy theorists love, the JFK assassination, the JFK assassination and the and 9/11. Those are like the two big things that conspiracy theorists just love to commiserate about. But there's also a lot of conspiracy theories around the Clintons. Some people claim that they've murdered like hundreds of people, and that they were running a cocaine operation out of Arkansas, and all kinds of stuff. There's a theory, and this particular theory has kind of leaked into the mainstream a tiny bit, There's a theory that Chelsea Clinton is actually Webb Hubbell's daughter, not Bill Clinton's daughter. And it's funny because that particular one, there's an author. I don't remember the author's name, and I don't remember the name of the book. Forgive me. But there's this author who apparently researched this and wrote an entire book about how Webb Hubbell is actually Chelsea Clinton's father. And if you look at pictures of Webb Hubbell next to Chelsea Clinton, the family resemblance is really obvious. Like if you look at the two of them next to each other, it's striking how much they look alike. So I heard this guy being interviewed on Howie Carr, and some of you listeners will be familiar with Howie Carr. He's a conservative talk show host in the Boston radio market. He's very popular here in New England, has been for years. But I decided, so next time I was in front of my computer, I just, out of curiosity, I just Googled, Webb Hubbell, Chelsea Clinton, because I wanted to see if it's true. And I'm looking at these pictures of like these side-by-side comparisons that people have posted and whatnot, people who believe in this theory. And I look at these pictures and I look at Chelsea and I think, yeah, she actually does kind of vaguely resemble Webb Hubbell, I suppose. But you know who she looks even more like? Like she's the daughter of Bill and Hillary Clinton. She looks like if Bill and Hillary Clinton had a daughter, it would look like Chelsea Clinton. That's what Chelsea Clinton really looks like. It's like that. Conan O'Brien used to do that if they mated bit where, he would combine, take two celebrities and, what would their child look like? And it was this bit that they would do. But yeah, that's what Chelsea Clinton looks like. She looks like she's Bill and Hillary's daughter. Anyway. But here's what I wonder, going into the general election, because Trump will say, look, I think we can agree that if Trump will accuse Rafael Cruz of being a part of the alleged conspiracy around JFK's assassination, I think we can all agree that Trump will say literally anything. So what will Trump say about the Clintons? Will Trump go full-on conspiracy theorist on the Clintons? Will Trump, at a campaign event, say something like, one of the reasons I'm confident I'm gonna be able to defeat Hillary by a huge margin is because Hillary has murdered lots of people, and I haven't murdered anybody. Will Trump say something like that? Will Trump say something like, I'm a real estate developer. I never sold cocaine in Arkansas. I wonder, because obviously he will say anything. Let's see. Let's dig into this a little more. We'll read this article. All right. Donald Trump on Tuesday alleged that Ted Cruz's father was with John F. Kennedy's assassin shortly before he murdered the president, parroting a National Enquirer story claiming that Rafael Cruz was pictured with Lee Harvey Oswald handing out pro-Fidel Castro pamphlets in New Orleans in 1963. Hey, that reminds me. I remember years ago, during the Clinton administration, a picture, and this is not a lie. I really do remember seeing this one day while standing in line at the supermarket on the cover of the National Enquirer, a picture of Bill Clinton walking with an alien, and the alien has his arm around Bill Clinton like he's telling him something really important. I wonder if Trump ever saw that particular issue of the Enquirer. I wonder if Trump in the general election will say, I've seen pictures of Bill Clinton with aliens. Let's see. A Cruz campaign spokesperson told the Miami Herald, which pointed out numerous flaws in the Enquirer's story, that it was, quote, another garbage story in a tabloid full of garbage, unquote. Trump said on Tuesday during a phone interview with Fox News, quote, his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. What is this? Right prior to being shot, and nobody even brings it up. They don't even talk about that. That was reported, and nobody talks about it? I mean, what was he doing? What was he doing with Lee Harvey Oswald before the death, before the shooting? It's horrible, unquote. This is your Republican nominee, America. This is your Republican nominee saying these kinds of things. Which leads me to say, as I've said many times, and I take no joy in saying this, I really don't, but I say it with confidence because I truly believe I'm right. Congratulations in advance, President-elect Hillary Rodham Clinton. She will have done nothing to win. I mean, Trump will have beaten himself because like I said, it'll be interesting to see if he kind of changes his strategy now that he's the presumptive nominee. But I got a feeling he won't. I think he's just going to say crazier and crazier stuff. Rafael Cruz responded quickly because we're up against a break. I exhort every member of the body of Christ to vote according to the word of God and vote for the candidate that stands on the word of God and on the Constitution of the United States of America. And I am convinced that man is my son, Ted Cruz. The alternative could be the destruction of America, unquote. Hey, wait a minute. You know what I didn't hear in that? A denial. I'm starting to think that Rafael Cruz actually pulled the trigger and framed Lee Harvey Oswald. We'll be right back. That's your Republican nominee. Good job, America. Good job.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour.
Matt Connarton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connarton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connarton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live as we cruise into our final segment tonight. Don't be alarmed when I say cruise. I promise you, I make this pledge to all my listeners. I will never punch or elbow you in the face. I just meant cruise as in, we're moving into our final segment. Let's see. Before we go on, Jen texted, if he wins, do you think he will want a tour of Area 51 so he can get the aliens to build walls? Well, that's a great idea, actually. If the aliens can be reanimated, and then he can tell Mexico, never mind. We'll well, we got it covered after all. Let's see. Tomorrow, by the way, don't forget the television edition of Unleashed every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on IPM Nation. My guest will be Sean Michelonis, and he is running for the executive council here in the great state of New Hampshire. We get to be important once every 4 years, so that's exciting. Of course, it's, we already had our New Hampshire primary for 2016, so we'll be important again eventually, 4 more years. But actually, politics here in this state's pretty interesting. So I don't believe I'll be on Ward 13 with John Hopwood tomorrow unless I get a text message from him in the morning inviting me on, because I believe he has another baseball show planned. I believe he's having Mr. Baseball join him again. I am useless when it comes to matters of sports. Or as I once heard Mitt Romney say, sport. Mitt Romney was not as awkward as Ted Cruz as a candidate, but I remember Mitt Romney had some really awkward moments. And there was one, there was this one where he's talking to these people at a campaign event, one of those town hall style campaign events. And he's trying to relate to the common folk. And he's talking about, I've met the most amazing people. The other day I met this man. He was so tall. He was nearly 7 feet tall. And I thought, he has to be involved in sport. It's like, yeah, that's how us common folk talk. That's right, Mittens. He's probably a member of a sport team. Let's see. This is Politico put this up. It's this column Glenn Thrush writes called Off Message. 5 takeaways from the night that made Trump the nominee. See, again, that's another example of where everyone's just kind of going, yeah, he's probably the nominee. Let's see what I like his column here. Let's see what what his 5 takeaways are. I'm still getting used to this trackpad on this new computer. Okay, I'm skipping down. He wrote some exhibition, but okay, here are the actual 5 takeaways. First one is a third party like it's 1912. Once upon a time, 6 months ago, the animating spirit of the Republican Party and its affiliated oligarchs was a desire to destroy political aspirations of Hillary Clinton. Trump's unexpected ascent has scrambled those priorities in ways that might have been unthinkable when Jeb Bush seemed on a glide path to the nomination. Charles Koch, whose family... Oh, this is interesting. I forgot about that. I was going to talk about this, and I forgot about it. Charles Koch, of course, of the famous Koch brothers, whose family has spent untold millions battling Clinton and other Democrats, mused that it was possible that she would be a more palatable alternative than his fellow billionaire Donald Trump. And longtime John McCain pal Mark Salter flat out threw his backing behind the former Secretary of State on Tuesday in a tweet. Most Republicans can't or won't go that far. In that case, they would need an electoral halfway house first floated by, you guessed it, the Donald himself, a third-party candidate of the Teddy Roosevelt bull moose variety that allows them to oppose Trump, cast their votes for a vetted conservative of their liking, and avoid the unacceptable fate of having to go full Hillary. Let's see. He goes into more detail on that, but we'll skip down because we're running out of time. Okay, the second takeaway. It ain't over till the Hewlett-Packard lady sings. McCain's 2008 selection of Sarah Palin as his running mate is seen in retrospect as his struggling campaign's self-inflicting coup de grace. As an act of damaging desperation, Cruz's selection of Fiorina as his mythical vice presidential pick wasn't in the same league, although the former computer executive's impromptu on-camera outburst of song ranks as a singularity bizarre moment in a Twin Peaks campaign, because Cruz was probably doomed pre-Carly. But it was weird Not a good thing when the main meme about your candidate involves his resemblance to sketches of the Zodiac Killer. Moreover, it reflected the prevailing sense of selective unicorn reality that descended over a campaign that was, up to that point, the most cannily run in either party. Let's see. Number 3, how does Hillary buy off Bernie? No unnamed Clinton staffer said this. I did. So stand down, Sanders' fundraising team. Despite his narrow victory in the Hoosier state, Sanders is more or less cooked as a viable presidential contender, barring, as must always be said with the Clintons, some unforeseen cataclysm. Mitch Stewart, one of the logistical wizards behind Barack Obama's 2008 landslide, posited that the Vermont senator would have to win something like 70 to 75% of the delegates to make a dent in Clinton's insurmountable 300-plus lead in pledged delegates. He didn't, but he'd also committed to staying in through the convention to maximize his leverage over the platform and give Clinton and her pet plutocrats some serious agita. But what specific deliverables would be required to compel Bernie's army to take up arms against Trump? Earlier this year, Sanders' top strategist, Tad Devine, suggested that Clinton might consider the Democratic Socialist as her running mate. That ain't happening. A trial balloon the candidate himself quickly punctured. People close to Sanders and his ally, in anti-Wall Street spirit, Elizabeth Warren, tell me they want assurances Clinton will appoint the right people to key Treasury Department and oversight agency posts. Sanders hasn't been talking about his terms of surrender yet, but he would clearly like to score a major policy shift from Clinton. His dream would be to make breaking up the big banks part of the Democratic platform, but he'll almost certainly garner more widespread support in pushing campaign finance reform and structural changes to the primary process. Yeah, I mean, that's probably... I think that's exactly correct. I agree with that. I certainly don't think that the idea that Hillary would pick Bernie as his VP is ludicrous. For one thing, she's going to need to pick someone young. Clinton is pushing 70. Bernie, I think, is 75. Boy, youth has really gone out the window this year, though, huh? It's interesting. I mean, you've got two, Hillary and Trump, I think, are about the same age. I think they're both 69 years old. Let's see. I mean, that's stunning, too, if you think about it. So Ted Cruz is only, I still can't believe he's only 45. It's amazing to me. Ted Cruz just seems so much older, but he's 25 years younger than Trump. Wow. Let's see. Takeaway number 4, Donald Duh. Trump has a stranglehold on about half of the 25 to 30% of white Americans who vote in Republican primaries. The rest of the nation, well, he's still pissing lots of them off, and the smarter political types in his orbit fret about his unprecedentedly high disapproval ratings. His longtime war consigliere, Roger Stone, likens Trump to Ronald Reagan. But the candidate himself spent Indiana a week convincing the country he was Don Reckless. Trump continued his ill-advised attack on Clinton's use of the gender card, which helped her anemic online fundraising operation clear a blockbuster $2 million plus in a couple of days. Even though Cruz was already headed to a campaign loss, the Donald decided to go all Oliver Stone on his father, anti-Castro Cuban immigrant Raul. He got his name wrong. It's not Raul Cruz, it's Rafael. He's thinking of Raul Castro, I guess. And then it gets into the in this article, he gets back into the Trump's conspiracy theory. So we'll skip ahead and finish off with number 5. When will Clinton release her Goldman Sachs transcript? Never. Sanders, often through the scowling personage of his tough guy campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, has continued, to the very great chagrin of the Clinton camp, to hammer away at the issue of the frontrunner's lavishly compensated Wall Street speeches. Clinton has said to widespread ridicule that she'll release them once her foes do likewise. With Sanders' campaign now testing the statistical outer limits of viability, the pressure for Clinton to dump them to reporters in an effort to cut off the challenge from the left is greatly diminished. But Trump looms, and he's already signaled he'll continue Sanders' attacks in the general election as a way to question, one, her character, and two, her alleged slavishness to big money donors. The news trough between the early June California primary and the late July convention in Philly seems like a logical time to drop the presumably unflattering transcripts if she decides to release them at all. I would very strongly predict that she does not. I just don't see why she would. The only one who's really been demanding that she does is Bernie, and I don't think that's going to work for Trump, trying to go after her on that, because, you know, she can say, well, why don't you reveal this, and why don't you reveal that about this deal and your association with this person, and there's just too many. See, I don't think maybe Trump won't go after her in terms of trying to get her to reveal these skeletons in her closet because he presumably has some of his own. I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting. We are out of time. I just want to remind everybody, of course, tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, live, my guest will be Sean Michelonis, and we'll see if I can get the venerable John Hopwood to stick around as well. And then, of course, if you don't get to see it live at 2 p.m., there's an 11 p.m. replay Eastern time on IPM Nation. Plus, we'll get it up on our YouTube channel, usually by 9 p.m. Eastern at the latest. And, of course, it will also simulcast in this very slot on IPM Nation 2 tomorrow night at 11 p.m. And then we'll be back with another live show Thursday night on IPM Nation